Hello and welcome to Fully Charged. Now you may be wondering why on earth I'm standing in a field full of cows. Well, something's changed in my life recently and I thought it was worth mentioning on Fully Charged because it is in a way related to the way we live on the planet. Now these cows belong to my neighbours. They're called Dexter cows. They're fully grown, even though they're quite small. They're lovely cows, and my relationship with these cows has changed a bit because in the past I have eaten some of their bodies because I bought beef from my neighbours. And it was gorgeous, I'm not going to lie, it was really nice and it was organic, and we know where the meat came from. It came from these fields and it was all very marvellous. But I think I'm never going to eat any of their bodies again. I've sort of become accidentally a vegetarian. I didn't really plan it. I didn't think, okay, from May onwards, I'm going to be a vegetarian. It just sort of happened, quite strongly influenced, I have to admit, by my daughter, who is a vegan. Now, she's still very critical of me because I'm still a vegetarian. I still eat eggs, cheese, butter, drink milk, have a bit of fish occasionally, so I'm a kind of pescatarian. I've only gone halfway there. But the reason I want to talk about it is because there are some related things to Fully Charged, because one of the kind of background reasons of Fully Charged is the idea that we try and approach a world where we burn less fossil fuel. And the idea of talking about meat and eating meat is that it's an extremely inefficient way of producing protein. In the same way as putting fossil fuels into an internal combustion engine is an incredibly inefficient way of using those fuels. About a third of the world's crops that we grow are fed to animals. A third, that's a colossal amount. And they use a third of all available fresh water in order to do that. In the United States, it's even worse. 70% of all the grain that's grown in the United States is used to feed livestock. Now, livestock is also very damaging to the environment. They produce 8 to 18% of all the greenhouse gas emissions that are due to human activity. Producing 1 kilogram of beef requires 15,000 litres of water to produce 1 kilogram of beef, 6.5 kilograms of grain that's grown elsewhere and fed to the animals, 330 square metres of land for every kilogram, and worst of all, 16.4 kilograms of CO2 per kilogram produced. Producing pork and chicken is slightly less inefficient simply because 95% of all the pigs and chickens in the world are grown in intensive factory farms. So we do use an incredible amount of land in order to produce meat. And to put that into some kind of fully charged perspective, figures recently released that have been widely accepted through the scientific community estimate that 0.6% of the American landmass would be enough to cover in solar panels to produce all the electricity that America needs through a year. 4 million gigawatt hours of electricity can be produced from 0.6% of the American landmass. So as with the transition from burning fossil fuels to renewable energy, this subject is incredibly complex. I mean, those cows behind me, they are grass-fed, they're free range, they have a little bit of feed in the winter, but their impact on the environment is negligible. But as I said before, they really are the exception. Now, I found becoming a vegetarian, if I have done that, incredibly easy. It wasn't difficult. I don't miss eating meat at all. I've lost a little bit of weight. I feel much fitter. I feel much more energetic. I don't have indigestion and heartburn, which I was beginning to get more regularly than I liked. That's just gone. So generally, I feel my health has improved, and I just don't want to eat meat anymore. It just feels wrong now. Now, we can easily get all the protein we need from a plant-based diet. That's completely scientifically provable. But the thing is, this is my final question, and I think this is important. If you eat meat regularly, have you ever in your life killed, butchered, prepared and cooked an animal? I would say the answer to that from the vast majority of people in the world is no. Well, actually, I have done that. I have killed a load of chickens, some rabbits, quite a few fish, and even a duck, just to see what it was like. And it was really unpleasant. I didn't enjoy it, but I killed those animals, I gutted them, I butchered them, I cut them up and cooked them and ate the meat. And I felt I had to do that because if not, it just felt monstrously hypocritical to eat meat and not know anything about it. Well, the meat industry very discreetly keep the whole process of how you produce meat away from the general public. We just see a nicely packaged lump of meat in a supermarket and we go, oh, should we have beef tonight or pork? Or maybe we'll have some stir-fried chicken. Well, the way that that meat is produced is, well, I'm not even going to argue about it. It's pretty barbaric, it's fairly obvious, but it's also hidden from us. So we're not really aware of it, and it's very, very consciously done by the meat industry. But that's just the end of the process. The actual production of that meat is incredibly inefficient and incredibly damaging, and that's why really I feel it's just beyond the pale for me to drive an electric car, have solar panels, have an electric water heater and a battery in my house, and then go and eat a load of beef. It just feels wrong. But the figures are really stark, and if we actually reduced our overall meat consumption as the human race by something like 80%, so we had meat maybe 2-3 times a month, the overall impact of that would be a massive reduction in the meat industry, really, really big reduction. You could have far more cows like this that are so much more benign for the environment because you wouldn't need as much meat, you'd need much less. Now, that meat industry are not going to accept that. They're going to kick off against it, just like the fossil fuel industry is with electric cars. So there is a lot of comparisons there. But that would mean that we could grow food on the land we have for us. We don't have to put it through an animal and eat it again. It's an incredibly stupid way of producing protein and the foods that we need. So we should be eating a plant-based diet. It's so much better for us, and it's so much better for the environment. We can produce far more food than we do now and feed far more people. So I don't think the human race is ever going to stop eating meat. I don't expect that to happen. I'm certainly not a vegetarian evangelist. You make your own decisions. I'm not trying to force my ideas on anyone. But I'm just telling you what I've done and the reasons behind why I've done it. But that's all. That's all I've got time for. The next episodes of Fully Charged will definitely be without cows. They'll have cars and solar panels and wind turbines and batteries and all the usual stuff. But I thought, as these cows are so lovely, I thought I'd introduce them to you. Please do subscribe to Fully Charged. Please have a look at the Patreon link beneath this video. And as always, if you have been, thank you for watching. Moo!